The sky turned dark that evening. Thick clouds rolled in like an army. The storm wasn't just in the air. It was inside the town, too. Whispers about Rayhan Delroy spread like wildfire. People who once stayed silent were now talking. Some were afraid. Some were angry. Some were remembering. Rayhan stood outside the old Delroy land, staring at the ruins, his deed still safe in his coat. He knew this wasn't over. Marco was in jail, but Marco wasn't the real snake. He was just one of many who helped burn his past. Alina arrived with a basket of food. "You haven't eaten," she said gently. Rayhan smiled faintly. "Didn't think I was hungry." She sat beside him under the tree. "You're not just fighting for land, are you?" Rayhan didn't answer at first. Then he said, "I'm fighting for my family, for truth, for everything they tried to erase." Alina took his hand quietly. "Then you're not alone." Before he could respond, a truck pulled up near the edge of the field. A man stepped out. Tall, gray suit, cold eyes. He walked like someone who was used to owning everything around him. Rayhan stood. "Daniel Creed," he muttered. Alina stood too. "Who is he?" "Banker," Rayhan said. "And the one who gave the order all those years ago." Creed walked forward with a fake smile. Well, the lost Delroy boy returns." "I'm not a boy anymore," Rayhan said. "And you don't own this land." Creed smirked. "The town forgot you. I didn't. I knew someday you might crawl back. That's why I bought everything around your land. You think a piece of paper scares me?" Rayhan pulled the deed from his coat. "This land is legally mine. You can't erase that." Creed's eyes turned cold. "Then let's see how long you can hold it when the town turns against you again." He got in his truck and drove off, tires spitting mud. Alina was shaking. "He's dangerous." Rayhan nodded. "But so am I. Now." Later that night, the storm finally broke. Heavy rain, loud thunder. Rayhan took shelter in the barn, but he couldn't sleep. Memories flooded his mind. His mother's laughter, the fire, the screams. The night he ran into the forest and never looked back. Suddenly, a knock, a flashlight. It was the sheriff, wet and out of breath. "You need to come," he said. "Now." Rayhan followed him through the rain to the edge of town. A small diner was on fire. "The owner," the sheriff said. "He came forward, told us he was paid to lie about the Delroy fire." Rayhan's eyes widened. "What happened to him?" "Creed's men," the sheriff said. "They didn't want the truth getting out." Rayhan felt rage rise in his chest. "He's still trying to bury it." The sheriff looked serious. "Not if we speak first. The town's holding a meeting. Tomorrow, you need to tell them everything." Rayhan nodded slowly. "Then I will." The next day, the community center filled with people, some curious, some nervous. Alina stood near the back, heart pounding. She didn't know what Rayhan was going to say. She only knew. This was the moment he had waited for his whole life. Rayhan stepped onto the small stage. For a second, he looked down at the people who had forgotten him. Then he spoke. "My name is Rayhan Delroy. Some of you remember the fire. Most of you believed it was an accident. It wasn't." He told them everything. How his family tried to protect the workers. How Creed and others wanted the land. How his parents were killed. And how he ran and survived. Gasps filled the room. Some people cried. Some sat in stunned silence. Then, Rayhan pulled out the deed. "This land is still mine, and I will rebuild it. Not just for me, but for those who lost everything." The sheriff stepped forward. There will be an investigation into Daniel Creed and others. It ends now." Outside, Creed sat in his black car, watching through the window. His jaw clenched. "He's not the boy we burned," Creed whispered. "He's the man who came, back from the ashes." Let me know when you're ready for Part 6, Final, where justice, redemption, and possibly even love will reach their powerful climax. Ashes to Honor, written in third-person style, using simple English and filled with emotion, resolution, and a powerful ending for your YouTube audience. It wraps the 6-part love story with both closure and impact. The town was never the same after that meeting. Rayhan's story spread like wildfire, first in whispers, then in voices loud and proud. Some still doubted. Others began remembering. The truth had been buried under ashes for years. But now, it was rising. Daniel Creed was arrested within days. The sheriff found old papers, hidden bribe records, and witness statements buried in forgotten files. A quiet trial began. Creed's eyes never left Rayhan in court, but for once, Rayhan didn't flinch. He stood tall, unshaken. Meanwhile, Rayhan returned to his land. With help from the sheriff, a few old workers, and even young volunteers from the town, he began clearing the ruins. Alina was always there, bringing food, planting flowers near the edge of the field, sitting beside him during long, quiet evenings. One night, as the sky turned gold behind the hills, she brought out a box. "What's that?" Rayhan asked, brushing dirt off his hands. She smiled. "Hope." Inside the box were old photos, some of his family, some of the house, before it burned. Alina had gone to the town's archives and dug them up. Rayhan stared at a picture of his mother standing on the porch, laughing in a white dress. "I thought I'd never see her again," he whispered. "She never left," Alina said softly. "She lived in your courage." Rayhan looked at her, really looked at her. "You didn't have to stay," he said. "This fight, it wasn't yours." Alina smiled. "Maybe not, but you are." They stood there, close, the warm wind around them, the ghosts of the past slowly fading behind. Weeks later, the rebuilding began. A new house, a new barn, a new life. The town finally saw Rayhan for who he truly was. Not just the boy who ran from fire, but the man who returned with honor. The land was green again. Crops started growing. A small sign was placed at the gate. Delroy Ranch, restored with truth. Alina opened a small shop nearby, a flower and seed store. She named it Ash Bloom. Because something beautiful grew from what burned, she told the first customer. Rayhan visited every evening. Not with money, but with stories, smiles, and a slow, growing love that no one could mistake. One quiet evening, he brought her a single sunflower, her favorite. "I never thought I'd have a home again," he said. Alina touched his hand. "You didn't just find home, Rayhan. You built it." As they stood watching the sunset behind the hills, the sky turned golden again, just like the first time he rode into town. But this time, he wasn't a stranger anymore. This time, the land knew him. The town knew him. And more than anything, he finally knew himself. From a lonely writer covered in dust to the man who made ashes bloom. The next few days were quiet, but the kind of quiet that feels dangerous. Arav kept his phone off. He canceled meetings and stayed close to the farmhouse. He didn't tell anyone about Mira, not even his best friend or lawyer. Something told him this wasn't just a small family issue. It was bigger. And Mira's fear was very real. She moved around the farmhouse silently, always watching the windows. She slept little. Arav noticed how she jumped at every knock or sudden noise. One night, she asked him in a shaky voice, "Do you think they'll come here?" Arav didn't lie. Maybe. But they'll have to go through me first. That made her smile, for the first time since she arrived. The next morning, Arav's 6-year-old son Arjun came back from his grandparents' house. Mira panicked when she heard the car outside. She ran to hide in the guest room, but Arav stopped her gently. "It's just my son," he said. Arjun ran in, excited. "Papa." He hugged Arav tight, and then noticed Mira peeking from the hall. "Who's that?" Arjun asked, curious. Arav looked at Mira, silently asking her if it was okay. She nodded slowly and came out. "Hi," she said softly. "I'm Mira." Arjun smiled brightly. "Hi, Mira Didi. Are you Papa's friend?" Arav answered before she could. "Yes, she's a friend. She's staying with us for a little while." That evening, Mira helped Arav cook dinner. Arjun followed her everywhere, asking questions and telling her stories. For the first time she laughed. Her eyes lit up. Arav watched her quietly. She was different now, less afraid. But the fear still lived somewhere behind her eyes. After Arjun went to sleep, Mira sat with Arav by the fireplace. "Your son is lovely," she said, her voice full of emotion. "He's my whole world," Arav replied. Mira nodded, then looked away. "I always dreamed of a life like this. A small house, peace, safety, maybe a child. But dreams were not allowed in my world." Arav listened closely. She had never opened up this much before. "My father sold me," Mira said finally, "to a man twice my age. He's rich, powerful. He controls people with money and fear. I said no. He didn't like that. So they locked me in the car, said I had embarrassed him." Tears rolled down her face, but she didn't wipe them. She let them fall. Arav's heart burned with anger. How could someone treat her like that? Like a thing to own? "You're not a thing," he said. "You're a person. You deserve better." Mira looked at him, her eyes wide. No one had ever said that to her before. Suddenly the silence broke. A sound, a car door shutting outside. Arav stood up instantly and motioned Mira to stay back. He walked to the window and peeked through the curtain. A black car stood at the edge of the driveway. No one had been invited. A man in a suit got out. He looked around, then walked toward the house. Arav opened the drawer and pulled out the small pistol he kept for protection. He had never used it before, but now his instincts told him to be ready. He opened the door slightly. "Can I help you?" he asked coldly. The man smiled. "Good evening. I was told you might be sheltering. Someone, a guest, a young woman, dressed like a bride." Arav didn't move. "You were told wrong." The man's smile faded. "Sir, I work for someone very important. This girl, she belongs to him." Arav's eyes narrowed. "She belongs to no one." The man gave a polite nod. "Tell her that, but be careful. People who get in the way sometimes don't stay around for long." And with that, he walked back to the car and drove away. Mira watched from the shadows, her whole body shaking. Arav came inside and locked the door. "They found me," she whispered. "Yes," Arav said, "but they'll wish they hadn't." His voice was calm, but his heart raced. This wasn't just about helping a stranger anymore. This was war. Single father CEO rescues a woman in a wedding dress, moments before the fire explodes, written in third person, using simple basic English and built to keep suspense and emotion strong. Arav didn't sleep that night. He stayed near the front door, a warm blanket wrapped around his shoulders, his phone and pistol on the table beside him. Every few minutes he looked out the window. The trees moved with the wind, but no one was out there. Yet. Mira couldn't sleep either. She sat in Arjun's room, watching him breathe softly as he slept. The little boy had given her something she never thought she'd feel again: hope. But the man who wanted her back would take everything away if he found her. The next morning was tense. Arav made breakfast in silence. Mira helped. Their hands moved like normal, but their eyes said something else. Fear, worry, a plan forming. Arav made a decision. "I'm taking you to someone," he told Mira. "Someone who can help." Mira looked unsure. "Who?" "Her name is Maya. She's a lawyer, and she's not afraid of powerful people." Mira paused. "What if it doesn't work?" Arav looked straight into her eyes. "Then I'll protect you myself." They left Arjun with the housekeeper and drove 2 hours to Maya's office in the city. Mira wore sunglasses and a hoodie, trying not to be seen. Arav kept checking the rearview mirror. Maya was waiting when they arrived. She was tall, confident, and had sharp eyes that missed nothing. After Mira told her everything, about the forced wedding, the threats, the fire, Maya leaned back and said calmly, "You're not the first woman they tried to destroy, but you might be the first they can't silence." She started paperwork immediately. "Mira," Maya said, "you'll file a legal case, and you'll be protected under the law, but it will get dangerous." Mira nodded. "I already saw death. I'm not afraid anymore." Arav stayed quiet, proud of her, but danger was already close. That night, back at the farmhouse, Arjun found something strange outside the door. A small box. He brought it to Arav. "Papa, someone left this." Arav opened it carefully. Inside was a burned wedding ring and a note. The note had no name, just 4 words. "She's mine. Back off." Arav's face went pale. Mira saw the ring and gasped. It was the one they had forced on her finger at the illegal ceremony. Panic rose in her chest. "They know I'm here," she whispered. Arav closed the box slowly. "Let them come." But Mira shook her head. "No, I won't let your son be in danger. I have to leave." "You're not leaving alone," Arav said firmly. She looked at him, confused. "I'm going with you," he continued. "Wherever this ends, we end it together." Mira's eyes filled with tears. "No one ever stood by me before," she said softly. "Why are you doing this?" Arav didn't hesitate. "Because you deserve a life. And maybe, so do I." For a moment, there was peace. But only for a moment. Because the next day, Arav's office was broken into. Files were stolen. His business phone was hacked. And someone left a message on his desk. A picture of Mira. At the farmhouse, smiling with Arjun. This wasn't just about power anymore. It was personal now. The picture on Arav's desk changed everything. He stared at it for a long time, hands clenched into fists. Mira and Arjun were smiling in the photo, taken from a distance. Whoever took it had been close. Too close. Arav knew what it meant. "We see you. We can get to you. Anytime." He rushed home that evening, faster than ever. When he opened the door, his heart stopped. Mira and Arjun weren't in the living room. "Mira?" he called, voice tight. "We're here," she answered from upstairs. He ran up to find her reading a book to Arjun in bed. She looked up and saw the fear in his eyes. "What happened?" she asked, closing the book. He handed her the photo. She went silent. Her fingers shook as she held it. "They were here?" Arav nodded. "We don't have time anymore." That night, Mira didn't sleep. She sat in the dark, thinking. Arav joined her in the living room. "I'm putting Arjun on a plane," he said quietly. "To my mother's house. He'll be safe there." Mira felt guilt wash over her. I never wanted this. I didn't mean to bring danger to your son. Arav looked at her. You didn't bring danger. They did. But I won't let them take your freedom, or his peace. They packed Arjun's bag together. The little boy didn't understand what was going on, but he hugged Mira tightly before leaving. You're my favorite, he whispered. Her heart broke. The next day, Arav and Mira met Maya again. She had bad news. The man chasing you, Rajat Singh, he's more powerful than we thought. Money, connections, even people in the police. But we have something he doesn't. Mira asked, What? The truth and witnesses. Maya revealed that 2 girls from the same forced marriage group had reached out. They were afraid, but after seeing Mira's story on the news, they wanted to fight too. We go public, Maya said. We let the world see him for who he really is. Mira froze. But if we go public, he'll come for me again. Arav stepped forward. Then let him. I'll be ready. They agreed to do a press conference. Maya said it would protect Mira under public eyes. But before that happened, something unexpected shook everything. That night, Mira's phone rang. She answered, and a soft, scared voice spoke. Dee, it's me, Perry. Mira's eyes widened. Perry? My sister? Yes, the girl whispered. I escaped. They're looking for me. I don't know where to go. Mira covered her mouth in shock. Her younger sister, the one she thought was still trapped in Rajat's mansion, had run away. Where are you? Mira asked quickly. Bus station, near the city. I'm coming, Mira said. No, Arav said firmly after she hung up. You're not going. Alone. They drove together to the bus station late at night, scanning every face. Finally, they saw her. Pari, scared, thin, and trembling in a corner. Mira ran and hugged her. The sisters cried quietly, holding on like life depended on it. But as Arav turned to walk them back to the car, a black SUV pulled up nearby. Men stepped out, tall, dark-suited, and clearly not regular civilians. Arav pushed the girls behind him. Get in the car, now! The men started walking toward them, but before they could come close, police sirens wailed in the distance. The men quickly turned and got back into the SUV, speeding off. Maya had warned the police to stay nearby. That warning may have saved their lives. Back at home, everyone was shaken. But Mira had something new in her eyes now. Not fear. Strength. They won't win, she whispered. Not anymore. Arav looked at her. Then let's end this. The final part was near, and Mira was no longer running. She was ready to fight. Ready for part 6? The truth goes public. Secrets are revealed. And love, justice, and courage take the stage in the final chapter. Single father CEO rescues a woman in a wedding dress, moments before the fire explodes, written in third person, using simple English and filled with emotion, suspense, and resolution. Perfect for keeping your YouTube audience engaged to the very end. The day of the press conference arrived. The hall was filled with reporters, flashing cameras, and curious eyes. Outside, hundreds had gathered. Some to support, some just to watch. Inside, Mira stood behind the microphone, her hands shaking slightly. Arav sat in the front row, with Perry beside him, holding her sister's hand. Maya gave her a small nod. It was time. Mira took a deep breath. My name is Mira. 1 month ago, I was chained in a burning car, left to die, because I tried to escape a forced marriage. I was treated like property, like I didn't have a voice, but I do. The crowd leaned in. She continued. I was promised to a man named Rajat Singh, a powerful man, rich, dangerous. He locked me away when I said no, but that wasn't the end. because a stranger saved me, a man I never met before, who risked everything. She looked at Arav. His eyes met hers, proud and steady. The reporters started shouting questions. Is this true? Do you have proof? Where is this Rajat now? Maya stepped in, showing the evidence. Photos, names of other girls, old marriage certificates, hidden bank transfers, even secret camera footage that one girl had recorded. The room fell silent as the truth played on the screen. Gasps, murmurs, and then applause. Later that night, the news exploded everywhere. Wealthy CEO saves woman from forced marriage ring. Secret bride rescue leads to big arrest. Single dad, silent hero behind Operation Bride Freedom. Within 24 hours, Rajat Singh was arrested. So were his men. The mansion was raided. His crimes were now too public to hide. Girls who once feared speaking came forward. The chain had finally broken. Arav, Mira, and Pari watched the news together. There were no cheers, just silence, tears, and relief. That weekend, Arav took them to the countryside. Just peace, trees, and fresh air. One evening, Mira sat with Arav on the porch. Arjun played in the yard, laughing again. You gave me freedom, she said quietly. Arav smiled. You gave it to yourself. I just helped. She turned to him, searching his eyes. You changed my life, Arav. Not just by saving me, but by believing me, when no one else did. He didn't speak. He just reached out and held her hand. That moment said everything. Weeks passed. Pari joined a college nearby. Mira began helping other girls like her, working with Maya full-time. And Arav. He was no longer just a lonely CEO. He was a father, a fighter, and a man who had found love in the most unexpected way. One morning, Arjun walked into the kitchen and asked, Is Mira staying forever? Arav looked at Mira. She laughed. Only if your dad asks nicely. Arjun turned to Arav with wide eyes. Ask her, Daddy. Arav smiled. Mira, he said, will you stay? Not just today, but every day? Her eyes welled with tears. Yes, she whispered. Always. And just like that, a rescue turned into a family, a fire turned into light, and a wedding dress, once a symbol of pain, became the beginning of a love that no one could chain ever again.